The Ten on the Beach by John Greenleaf. Whittier. I would not sin, in this half-playful strain, too light perhaps for serious years, though born of the enforced leisure of slow pain, against the pure ideal which has drawn my feet to follow its far-shining gleam. A simple plot is mine. Legends and runes of credulous days, old fancies that have lain silent. From boyhood taking voice again, warmed into life once more, even as the tunes that, frozen in the fabled hunting horn, thawed into sound. A winter fireside dream of dawns and sunsets by the summer sea, whose sands are traversed by a silent throng of voyagers from that vaster mystery of which it is an emblem, and the dear memory of one who might have tuned my song to sweeter music by her delicate ear. When heats as of a tropic clime burned all our inland valleys through, three friends, the guests of summertime, pitched their white tent where sea winds blew. Behind them, marshes, seamed and crossed with narrow creeks, and flower-embossed, stretched to the dark oak wood, whose leafy arms screen from the stormy east the pleasant inland farms. At full of tide their boulder shore of sun-bleached sand the waters beat. At ebb, a smooth and glistening floor they touched with light, receding feet. Northward a green bluff broke the chain of sand hills. Southward stretched a plain of saltgrass, with a river winding down, sail whitened, and beyond the steeples of the town, whence sometimes, when the wind was light and dull the thunder of the beach, they heard the bells of morn and night swing, miles away, their silver speech. Above low scarp and turf-grown wall they saw the fort flag rise and fall, and, the first star to signal twilight's hour, the lamp fire glimmer down from the tall lighthouse tower. They rested there, escaped a while from cares that wear the life away, to eat the lotus of the Nile and drink the poppies of Cathay, to fling their loads of custom down, like drift weed, on the sand slopes brown, and in the sea waves drown the restless pack of duties, claims, and needs that barked upon their track. One, with his beard scarce silvered, bore a ready credence in his looks, a lettered magnate, lording o'er an ever-widening realm of books. In embrain currents, near and far, converged as in a Leyden jar. The old, dead authors thronged him roundabout, and Elsiever's grey ghosts from leathern graves looked out. He knew each living pundit well, could weigh the gifts of him or her, and well the market value tell of poet and philosopher. But if he lost, the scenes behind, somewhat of reverence vague and blind, finding the actors human at the best, no readier lips than his the good he saw confessed. His boyhood fancies not outgrown, he loved himself the singer's art. Tenderly, gently, by his own he knew and judged an author's heart. No Rhadamanthine brow of doom bowed the dazed pedant from his room, and bards, whose name is Legion, if denied, bore off alike intact their verses in their pride. Pleasant it was to roam about the lettered world as he had done, and see the lords of song without their singing robes and garlands on. With Wordsworth paddle ridle mere, taste rugged Eliot's home-brewed beer, and with the ears of Rogers, at fourscore, hear Garrick's buskin tread and Walpole's wit once more. And one there was, a dreamer born, who, with a mission to fulfill, had left the muses' haunts to turn the crank of an opinion mill, making his rustic reed of song a weapon in the war with wrong, yoking his fancy to the breaking plough that beamed deep turned the soil for truth to spring and grow. Too quiet seemed the man to ride the winged hippogriff reform. Was his a voice from side to side to pierce the tumult of the storm? A silent, shy, peace-loving man, he seemed no fiery partisan to hold his way against the public frown, the ban of church and state, the fierce mobs hounding down. For while he wrought with strenuous will the work his hands had found to do, he heard the fitful music still of winds that out of dreamland blew. The din about him could not drown what the strange voices whispered down. Along his task-field weird processions swept, the visionary pomp of stately phantoms stepped. The common air was thick with dreams, he told them to the toiling crowd. Such music as the woods and streams sang in his ear he sang aloud. In still, shut bays, on windy capes, he heard the call of beckoning shapes, and, as the grey old shadows prompted him, to homely molds of rhyme he shaped their legends grim. He rested now his weary hands, and lightly moralized and laughed, as, tracing on the shifting sands a burlesque of his papercraft, he saw the careless waves o'errun his words, as time before had done, each day's tide water washing clean away, like letters from the sand, the work of yesterday. And one, whose Arab face was tanned by tropic sun and boreal frost, so traveled there was scarce a land or people left him to exhaust, in idling mood had from him hurled the poor squeezed orange of the world, and in the tent shade, as beneath a palm, smoked, cross-legged like a Turk, in oriental calm. The very waves that washed the sand below him, he had seen before whitening the Scandinavian strand and sultry Mauritanian shore. From ice-rimmed isles, from summer seas palm-fringed, they bore him messages. He heard the plaintive Nubian songs again, and mule bells tinkling down the mountain paths of Spain. His memory round the ransacked Earth on Puck's long girdle slid at ease, and, instant, to the valley's girth of mountains, spice isles of the seas, faith flowered in minster stones, art's guess at truth and beauty, found access. Yet loved the while, that free cosmopolite, old friends, old ways, and kept his boyhood's dreams in sight. Untouched as yet by wealth and pride, that virgin innocence of beach no shingly monster, 100-eyed, stared its grey sand birds out of reach. Unhoused, save where, at intervals, the white tents showed their canvas walls, where brief sojourners, in the cool, soft air, forgot their inland heats, hard toil, and year-long care. Sometimes along the wheel-deep sand one-horse wagon slowly crawled, deep laden with a youthful band, whose looksome homestead old recalled. Brother perchance, and sisters twain, and one whose blue eyes told, more plain than the free language of her rosy lip, of the still dearer claim of love's relationship. With cheeks of russet orchard tint, the light laugh of their native rills, the perfume of their gardens mint, the breezy freedom of the hills, they bore, in unrestrained delight, the motto of the garter's knight, careless as if from every gazing thing hid by their innocence, as Aegus by his ring. The clanging seafowl came and went, the hunter's gun in the marshes rang, at nightfall from a neighboring tent a flute-voiced woman sweetly sang. Loose-haired, barefooted, hand in hand, young girls went tripping down the sand, and youths and maidens, sitting in the moon, dreamed o'er the old fond dream from which we wake too soon. At times their fishing lines they plied, with an old triton at the oar, salt as the sea wind, tough and dried as a lean cusk from Labrador. Strange tales he told of wreck and storm, had seen the sea snake's awful form, and heard the ghosts on Halley's Isle complain, speak him offshore, and beg a passage to old Spain. And there, on breezy morns, they saw the fishing schooners outward run, their low-bent sails in tack and flaw turn white or dark to shade and sun. Sometimes, in calms of closing day, they watched the spectral mirage play, saw low, far islands looming tall and nigh, and ships, with upturned keels, sail like a sea the sky. Sometimes a cloud, with thunder black, stooped low upon the darkening main, piercing the waves along its track with the slant javelins of rain. And when west wind and sunshine warm chased out to see its wrecks of storm, they saw the prismy hues in thin spray showers where the green buds of waves burst into white froth flowers. And when along the line of shore the mists crept upward chill and damp, stretched, careless, on their sandy floor beneath the flaring lantern lamp, they talked of all things old and new, read, slept, and dreamed as idlers do, and in the unquestioned freedom of the tent, body and o'ertaxed mind to healthful ease unbent. Once, when the sunset splendors died, and, trampling up the sloping sand, in lines outreaching far and wide, the white wane billows swept to land, dim seen across the gathering shade, a vast and ghostly cavalcade, they sat around their lighted kerosene, hearing the deep bass roar their every pause between. Then, urged thereto, the editor within his full portfolio dipped, feigning excuse while searching for, with secret pride, his manuscript. His pale face flushed from eye to beard, with nervous cough his throat he cleared, and, in a voice so tremulous it betrayed the anxious fondness of an author's heart, he read.